All right, everyone, welcome back. It's been a while. Today, we've got part one of the extensive Marvel Future Fight PvP guide, and it's going to be not as organized this time around. It's going to be more or less a lot of various tests with a lot of various teams that go against the mirror matching fiasco and the advice that people give for Team Battle Arena that is completely based off of statistics. I have ways that I've bypassed the RNG in this game with the patterns that I know absolutely work with 70 to 90% certainty, and the patterns that don't really work with maybe a 50% certainty or a 70% certainty, right? Mirror matching is for the whales who know that they could reach top 200 effortlessly because they have the best stats and they have it maxed out and they have even elite gear maxed out. Here, I'm taking into account multiple things. I'm going counters for meta. I'm going positions, mostly meta directing to meta or away from meta. I'm taking various different leaderships into effect. And I'm showing you guys my successes in last season, how I got to top 100 in that season, and how I worked my way into the next season where I was struggling a lot but managed to figure out a lot of different patterns. Now, here was a really, really weird test that I didn't really pursue because I thought it was really, really consistent in the beginning and then very inconsistent later on. So I just changed it back to normal. It was basically an energy sentry. Nobody should ever try that. And I had like a conquest on Quicksilver, and he's 250-50. Basically, last season I was using Logan as a weapon against Null, and because Null doesn't have Agent Venom, he was getting killed by Logan probably 65-70% of the time, which is amazing. Here, you're going to see many, many different Adam teams take on Logan, and as long as I direct Adam to Logan, Adam should take down Logan many a time. But, of course, there's RNG involved. Null, I've been using to take on Adam teams. And once again, I direct Null towards Adam always, which means I have to manually switch to position sometimes. This is okay for me because this is a fun tactical element that I like to do. If you really want to compete and your stats are mediocre, I essentially have the blueprints for you guys that you just have to follow and take maybe, 30-40 minutes of your time to see what team ups can potentially work, what builds could potentially work, right? So you're going to see a lot of Logan wins because of the setup I have. Nobody wants to think of Colossus with his physical damage immunity lead would be so good against Null, but it is. You wouldn't believe that an energy Silver Surfer and a brilliant energy Null, because I only have 3 brilliant CTPs. Brilliant energy Null does work, and it's roughly as consistent as Greed. The only problem is that energy doesn't have guard break immunity, so Null has a little layer where he could still get caught. But if your Greed is mighty or it's at an unreally rolled brilliant, your Null is going to struggle offensively if you don't have him built to the max. So you have to understand, okay, there's substitutes. Okay, I have to level up his gear as fast as I can because that's very important. Right now, I use 2 meta to take on Adam because Adam is one of the toughest opponents in TBA. and I've categorized him way higher. Sentry here, who must always have an almost maxed rolled Brilliant Conquest with high HP stats, has a double-edged problem with Surfer. So sometimes he does just right amount of damage with the supports that he's given or with the meta that I have with him that he's given. And then sometimes he doesn't have the damage and he eventually gets caught. There's also RNG, so sometimes Sentry just gets reflected instantly in that first counter. There he bypassed it. But here, I could still win if I have another meta, or you could use double support. You could alternate, but you have to make sure what supports work the best for you. So you need a support that mostly targets villains, because Sentry is going to target Silver Surfer. And you need debuff removal, increased damage, support from Kahori, and a mix of increase and decrease damage from another support. I can get a triple win if your meta are all the way on the bottom. You should put your meta, like Sentry and Null, in the third and the fourth slots at the very least, or the first and the second, which is what a lot of whales do. That way, you don't avoid getting a triple L, and you could at least get one win and get less points retracted. If your Sentry has high enough damage and defense, you can also put America Chavez as a support too. She's very good. Here, as you can see, Adams can be very, very difficult to kill. And if my proc doesn't go off properly, RNG is going to kick in and I could easily lose the fight. Even though I have like a 70% chance of winning against Adams with that Thanos Null team. Here, that Surfer with Dormammu actually got a couple wins in top 100, but I didn't record it. And then as you can see here, Logan last season was totally clutch for me. And he had a mighty conquest at the time. But I highly recommend a Brilliant Conquest for this season, and I will show you why, because I was stubbornly using Logan for a specific purpose for so long, and when I changed him up, I realized that I was kind of wasting him in the way that I'm showcasing here. So here, he could be used when all the meta are available, so when Sentry is not banned. So here, he's mostly a dummy against Null, but he's a very good dummy. It's just, when Sentry is banned, you don't want to use him as a dummy. Here, I'm just speeding it up because it was mostly defeats, but like a 1 in 15 I got, which was crazy. And there's also a lot of crazy wins that I got over time. But I always direct Null to Adam, or like meta to meta. That way, I kill him as quickly as possible, and I avoid losses, because I want to avoid losses as much as possible. But there are not a lot of offensive alternatives. They're actually very, very small. So here, this is Dan Silver Surfer, and he has a top 200 or 300 or maybe 150 Silver Surfer. And as you can see, he could easily take down both my meta with double support. Easily. I don't even have enough damage or enough defense. So this is why stat-based, mirror matches are incredibly inconsistent, because my energy Silver Surfer or a mighty Authority or a mighty Egg Silver Surfer will always die to that Silver Surfer no matter what. So you're basically telling people to give up. Here, the RNG kicks in, so even when I direct Adam to Logan, it doesn't work. That could happen. Then I fight him again, and I can win the match, because I corrected my mistakes. So I did double support Sentry, and I got the win, which is important, because sometimes you have to alternate. Sometimes the tactic is not going to work against certain meta, because people build their meta kind of sporadically. So there are some that have a really strong Sentry Null but a really weak Atom. And there's some that have a really strong Atom but have a really weak Silver Surfer. You know, it's still some unpredictability there. Here, the RNG still got me, so I still lost because that Logan is pretty perfect, and my Atom only has a Mighty Energy. But my Atom still wins a lot of the time versus Logan because I tactically plant him appropriately. There's tactics and there's systems to this. And the system is brutal because if you win too many times, the game will crash on you when you're about to win and force a loss. But here you could see that I reached top 98, and then I go into the next season using similar tactics and making grave mistakes. You know, Null is susceptible, especially when he's in the middle. When he's in a corner, he's much more likely to not get reflected. So that's a little tip for you guys when putting Null. Surfer Mephisto was a decent niche team against other niche teams, but I needed both of them. Silver Surfer mostly for the niche teams, but I needed Mephisto because Atom and Mephisto together kill most Logans most of the time. So I'm giving you that other tip as well. Here, as you could see, my Logan was going up against Nulls, and in this season, he's going to lose to Null like 90% of the time because Null has Agent Venom. That's what I mean by crashing. So the game crashes on me, and I have to reset every 2 to 3 matches. But as you could see, this season I've beaten the top players. But there's also many different players who have beaten me, some multiple times. I've played a lot of matches, hundreds of matches, because I want to figure out the patterns. I want to know how to win and how to get you guys to win without having to go through all of the trials and the tribulations and the minimals, because I'm figuring out the minimals. I just acquired my 3rd Brilliant CTP after replacing a Brilliant Patience. I got lucky and got a Brilliant Patience and swapped it out in the craft event. So I've tried multiple different setups with multiple different CTP swaps. I used Brilliant Conquest Null. I've used Brilliant Energy Null. I've used Brilliant Conquest Quicksilver, who got the win against Dan, and it crashed on me. I used a Brilliant Conquest Deadpool, who was disappointing. Brilliant Conquest Thanos, who was disappointing. Even Brilliant Conquest Silver Surfer was also disappointing. Here, Atom easily gets the win again. I use Ghost Rider, but Ghost Rider is actually better for niche teams, and I'll show you later. Unfortunately, while sometimes Quicksilver got amazing wins in top 300 and top 400, it wasn't consistent enough for me to keep. So he was getting amazing wins, and he lives, and he dodges, and he gets it quickly, and he uses the tier 3 skill also very quickly. But the stronger the Atoms get, the least likely he's going to do it. And there are a lot of meta teams that were using Deadpool with Brilliant Conquest and Quicksilver with Brilliant Conquest. So you need both, really, to get that max efficiency. If you only have one, the consistency is going to take a dive. So I would pair Silver Surfer. And this Silver Surfer with Brilliant Conquest was good up until a certain point. And they were also getting me killed. And if your Silver Surfer is not 100% and he doesn't have Agent Venom, your Surfer is basically pretty useless and his damage is pretty low. And I could see why now he's the most complained about character in PvP. I get so many negative responses with Silver Surfer, and I have put him lower because of it. He's very, very poor in his damage output, and his iframes are kind of weird, and his debuffs aren't that sufficient either. Like, Silver Surfer has issues. Adam, on the other hand, is a menace. And I could even use Adam with a mighty energy, and he is a menace still. But I'll get some nice wins here, even against like niche kind of meta too. Or maybe not. I can't even tell. Ooh. These fights are cool though. These fights were really, really cool. I just couldn't, ooh, this team is also cool. Using Hulk with Mighty Conquest and Mephisto in a corner. Because Mephisto in a corner can take down a lot of meta. The problem is that he must be in the corner, in my opinion. And Ghost Rider is usually also in the corner. So if Ghost Rider is in the same corner as Mephisto, Mephisto is going down, no matter what. There, I always skipped because I was basically just running Logan into the ground most of the time, unfortunately. I wasted Logan like a huge half of the season, and then I equipped a Brilliant Conquest on him later because he had a Mighty Conquest, and in this season with Mighty Conquest, Logan is really poor. Like, really, really poor. And his current uni is also a little bit overrated in this game mode. In Timeline Battle, it's great. But in this game mode, the new uniform, I don't know. It's not that good. You may want to swap and try X-Deaths. But I'm going to explain and talk about that later. So, I was having issue after issue after issue after a certain point. Silver Surfers, I was killing consistently. But Adams, I just could not kill after a certain point. So I needed to keep changing course. And I was testing and testing to see who could actually stand a chance against Adam. And if your characters are not at full capacity, not many can. If any at all. Like Sentry can. But that's about it. Sentry is banned. And maybe Quicksilver can, but he needs everything at his disposal. Like, I had Hela and I had Maya, and he was taking down Adams, but he was not taking them down all the time. So as you could see, Silver Surfer is inconsistent as hell, and he's meant to be a full-fledged counter. So I have to rely on my niche team, and my Hulk is going up against Emma Frost, and I still managed to take down that team with Mephisto. So I got very, very lucky. Here, for me, if Ghost Riders are on the same side, it's 50-50. So whatever the game decides, it's going to either give you a win or a loss. So I like to make sure that my Ghost Rider is on the opposite side of the other Ghost Rider. But you got to figure out who could interrupt Ghost Rider. And there's a few, but it's not Emma Frost. Emma Frost will never interrupt Ghost Rider. Ever. So you have to pick, like, a meta. Like, you could put Silver Surfer in a corner, and Silver Surfer will almost always interrupt Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider is the best of the niche teams. Look, a lot of people are picking X-Deaths. The only reason why X-Deaths didn't do well here is because of my team. But I'm telling you, X-Deaths is really, really good for this mode. And people are pairing Brilliant Conquest on Ghost Rider. I don't think that this is a good idea. I think that this is a waste on Ghost Rider. And putting Logan there just always set me up for failure all the time. And then, Surfer Mephisto could take down a lot of different teams. Emma teams, Maddie teams, APOC teams, Thanos teams. So, this team is good, but I needed more consistency with my meta, my actual meta. And these whales, by the way, like everybody knows them from Timeline Battle. These are the same whales that I've been fighting for years. So I was making sure that I recorded a lot of games and I fought top players, not just like nobodies. You know, see like inconsistency with Quicksilver. I was having inconsistency with some nulls. Like Emma can take them down sometimes. If Null and Emma are on the same side, your Null is going to get to 1% if that Emma's at tier 4. Emma is good with Surfer in this season and could be a dummy team against Null. I think that Surfer should be dummy teams this season. I don't see Surfer being good against anybody, and he's getting taken down by Logan very, very easily, which is very, very disappointing. So you may want to use caution for your Silver Surfer. If he has any mighty CTP, he is immediately like sub-meta. You have to treat him like a sub-meta, which is very, very sad to say, especially if you want to compete. Because I have a mighty energy on my Silver Surfer. So, and also positions are important because RNG can completely screw you if like your null goes away from the meta and they can just, you know, come and attack you from afar while you're just standing around, because you're going to see that your meta sometimes stand around, or they get interrupted, or they get debuffed for 15 seconds, or they like they cancel their skills, so they do it earlier and then you get debuffed later. So this is why positions are important, because you really are not going to understand why you lost to like a team with like half your stats. You know, it happens. I was just trying a lot of different niche setups. You know, sometimes I'll come across like an energy atom, so I'll get lucky. I think that energy atoms are easy to kill, but they could also one-shot. I mean, energy atoms have one-shot my null before. So I'm telling you, Atom is the biggest danger, like after null this season. But I love it when Quicksilver gets a dub. When Quicksilver gets a dub, it's gorgeous. But it's just inconsistent. It's not consistent enough. So in the last few minutes of the video, you're going to see my final selection of teams. And if you have any questions, you can always DM me on Discord. Because this video is really for everybody. It's for the newcomers to see like which meta could actually compete, like which sub-meta could actually compete. And it's for the whales to try new things. Because I'm seeing King Davy and I'm seeing like all different kinds of whales, and they're below me, and they shouldn't be below me. They're just below me because of RNG and like random losses that they get because they mirror match, but mirror matches aren't always going to work. But when you only have 5 refills, you don't have much chance to test. So I had to refill so many times in order for me to get like an accurate depiction. And I get crashes. So those are losses too. It's very, very frustrating. So I'm giving you guidelines on what to do, right? So rule number 1, position meta to meta. So Atom to Logan, Null to Atom, Sentry to Surfer, etc. That's number 1. Number 2, reset the game. If you have an iPhone, reset the game every 3 matches, or every 2 wins. I'd reset the phone or reset the game. Okay. Number 3, don't mirror match. But you have to understand that there are very, very limited amount of meta that you could actually pick that would actually work consistently for you. And I'm giving you essentially the keys. So obviously you got the top 1 through 5, Sentry, Null, Adam, Surfer, Logan. Those are the priorities. Then Ghost Rider and you'll get games like that where the meta just stand there. Mephisto could be an excellent choice, especially for this season, but it's unfortunate because with Rage he's very inconsistent and he needs ignore dodge. You're gonna see a lot of my builds have mighty energy now. I have Null with brilliant energy because I don't have a brilliant greed. I have Adam with mighty energy. I have Surfer with mighty energy. I have Apocalypse with mighty energy. I have Carnage with mighty energy. Carnage is bad. I would honestly drop him. He sucks. He sucks everywhere. Doom is pretty good at times. If he's at full capacity with a brilliant CTP, like Authority, he's pretty good. Who else? My Ghost Rider has a mighty energy because I want him with burst damage and ignore dodge. Yeah, lots of tunes I gave that initial burst damage because that one-shot potential is really, really nice and it's better than Rage. But it's risky because you're going to obviously decreases in performance in PvE, so you may not want to do that. But they have to increase ignore dodge in Team Battle Arena somehow. So this was I believe I got a win here. Yeah. Like, Deadpool is better than Thanos, I believe, in this season. Deadpool has potential to be decent. Supports to pick are super important, and they all need to be jacked up with mighty or brilliant insight or liberation, or both, depending on how many supports you put on. I was entertaining Mephisto versus Surfer Carnage, and he actually got a few wins, which was insane. I entertained it for a little while, but of course it wasn't consistent enough. And obviously, even though I love this team, it makes Ghost Rider godly in terms of damage. It's just not consistent enough either. So supports are very important. Wasp is highly recommended. Colossus is highly recommended. Agent Venom, obviously highly recommended. Kahori, highly recommended. Rescue is recommended for Logan if your Logan is jacked to the max. Ronin is recommended because he's cheap. Hela is recommended, and you could build her as a support DPS or a support itself. Of course, the the Valkyries and the White Foxes and the Phil Coulson with seasonal uniform. The Phil Coulson with the seasonal uniform, it could be one of the top supports in this game mode in particular. So keep that in mind. You could also use Mantis maybe if you want. Morgan Le Fay is not bad. People use Nico Minoru for Adam and Wong for Adam, which is not bad. They're not bad choices. And then you got like support DPSs. So, the best support DPS for niche teams is Ghost Rider. So I think if you build a team around him with niche teams, you should be fine. So people are using Shala and Emma. I was using Shala and Spider-Man with Ghost Rider. Right now I'm using Silver Surfer with Ghost Rider. You could use Magic Shala and Ghost Rider. whatever setup works for you for the niche teams is good. You can also put Doom as a niche team with Ghost Rider. It's not bad. You could put... Hell, I've even put Deadpool in Ghost Rider, and it worked out. So there's a lot of options for niche teams, but for meta teams, the setups are very, very strict. CTP selections that most people go with for their meta, Brilliant Greed or Brilliant Conquest for Null. Like, there's actually a few whales who are equipping Brilliant Conquest for Null right now. Obviously, Brilliant Conquest Surfer. I've actually seen a Brilliant Conquest Carnage or Brilliant Egg Carnage. I've seen Brilliant Conquest Ghost Rider and Brilliant Rage and Brilliant Energy Ghost Rider. I've seen Logan's only with Brilliant Conquest, and there's no other way. If you don't have a Brilliant Conquest on your Logan, that Logan is not going to work. Adams I've seen with both Brilliant Energy and Brilliant Conquest, mostly Brilliant Conquest. Mephisto I've seen with Brilliant Conquest, but people are getting away from it. I've seen Mephisto with Energy, though, too. And if people put sub-meta in there, they usually have Brilliant Conquest on them. So I've seen Black Widow, I've seen Emma, I've seen Emma's with Brilliant Authority. I've seen Magic's with Brilliant Authority, Brilliant Conquest, and Brilliant Greed. I've seen Dooms with Brilliant Conquest and Brilliant Authority. I've seen Deadpools with Brilliant Conquest. I've seen Quicksilvers and Apocalypse and Madeline Pryor with Brilliant Conquest, or Madeline with Brilliant Authority I've seen. So these are the selections that people choose. But if your team ups are appropriate, the results should be more or less the same. And I'm going to explain that later when the video is about to end. So here, for the first time, you're going to start to see that I'm entertaining Logan against Surfer, because I just equipped the Brilliant Conquest full roll on Logan, and he's taking Surfer and Carnage down effortlessly, almost effortlessly. It's actually embarrassing, because look how cool this looks. That's his tier 3 skill, ending it in style. So I entertained this setup now, and now Logan is no longer a dummy team. And I was using dummy teams against Null, and I somehow got really, really lucky here, and I managed to kill him with Mephisto solo. Don't ask me how I did it, because I never did it again. I also did it with Apocalypse once, and I never did it again, and I tried to find that setup for the rest of the time. But basically, my Black Widow wasn't strong enough to take down that Atom at all. So you need a lot of firepower to take down Atoms. But I eventually got more or less that part down over time. Here I realized that Emma was kind of pointless, and Magic is too inconsistent, and Ghost Rider here is not worth it, as the RNG is also not consistent either. So Mephisto I put back, and then I kept entertaining this team. And Logan does take down Ghost Rider, and he can take down Magic, and he can take down Emma, but only under certain conditions. And I had to figure out these conditions, because for whales, it just works. But for me, I have 57% HP, so it doesn't work over time. But I figured out the solution for Logan, if you guys are interested. I tried a lot of different niche teams against Null, and I tried a lot of different niche teams against other niche teams. Silver Surfer here is a good choice, but the RNG is more or less the same as if I were to pick Thanos or if I were to pick Deadpool. So I was alternating between them. But here, as you can see, this team up of Adam and Mephisto is 95% consistent against Logan. Like, you'll almost never fail. Because Adam glitches Logan and reduces his debuff removal. I don't know why, but it's a consistent thing. So this team is stationary and it's unchanging. I can't change it. This team is just a dummy team. I'm figuring out which dummy team is going to be best against Null. I think it's Apocalypse. Here, I'm going to start to lose, even though I don't think I capture it because I'm capturing mostly wins. But I do get losses here too. So I have to showcase that. And sometimes Logan just gets immortality very, very randomly. So I don't even know how to spot it because you can't see it in the health gauge. It's very, very bizarre. But yeah, these are just more niche teams I was trying. Ghost Rider on the side of Emma always kills Emma Frost no matter what. Shala, it's really depending on her build. Like, if she has a Brilliant Conquest, she may live through Ghost Rider's fourth, which is crazy. But if she's weak, she won't. So she'll get killed in the residual damage of the skill. This team's kind of sucks. It's not that good. Thanos is really not that good. He's only really good against Adam. He's not good against anybody else. The lack of iframes that Logan has here, and for some reason Adam reduces his debuff removal, it really lets him down. It makes Logan look weaker than he actually is. But then Logan will come up with amazing wins against, like, Silver Surfer, who's newer than all of them, which is really, really weird. I don't know what's going on with Surfer. I think that Surfer is overrated because of how strong the whales know how to make him. But for the average Joe, he is very, very poor. And he's only like a leadership. Again, you know, a niche team. Spider-Man, if he lives, he's amazing. And if he doesn't live, he is a liability. So while I love Spider-Man and I end up using him in a different setup, I think this setup is not bad, but it's risky. Because if your Spider-Man is not strong enough, he's not going to do a lot. But I also would rather pick his classic, because his symbiote uni is too slow, and the cooldown on the fourth is too slow. So they're actually making uniforms in PvP a little bit worse in some ways. It's actually really, really sad. And Thanos usually gets taken down by Ghost Rider now. So Thanos is really, really below the pecking order. And that's why Deadpool is above him now, because, you know, Thanos is too weak most of the time. I even tried him with the Brilliant Conquest, and he's not even worth it. This team could also take on, like, sub-meta teams, but it's also about positioning. Like, obviously, if you put Adam to Shala directly, Adam would get killed very, very quickly if Adam has energy. If he has Brilliant Conquest, it's a different story. But obviously, you're going to put Adam up against Logan like 90% of the time. So it's fair. Like, that was my most consistent run. Like that was my most consistent battle, was Adam versus Logan in this whole season. There, you'd be surprised how inconsistent. Coulson was a decent support here. I may use him again, and it's okay to alternate Logan teams, because Logan teams can be so strong they could be the catalyst in getting you defense wins, because I got some sleeper defense wins. Like against TNT 97, I got a defense win. So you can put Logan with double support, but like I said, I'm going to show you why I recommend X Deaths very, very soon. And yeah, also this team, Mephisto, Adam, they take on every other meta, so long as Mephisto's in the middle and Adam's on the side away from like Ghost Rider. because Ghost Rider would just come in the middle and then get hit from Mephisto. But yeah, as you could see, when Logan gets his artifact, it's it's like in a very dangerous position, because if Logan gets his artifact up, it's all dependent on the conquest being timed at the appropriate way. Because if you activated conquest and immortality kind of at the same time, you're going to get hit very quickly with reflect and things like that. Here, you see Deadpool, Ghost Rider, Morgan Le Fay. Ghost Rider absolutely needs debuff removal no matter what, which is a little bit of an issue as it limits the teams he could be in. But Ghost Rider, like I said, is the best niche selection for niche teams. Now, you're going to see my teams change, and they're going to finalize now. So, yeah. Trying to replicate the dummy team. I almost did it here, but not really. Deadpool, I'm figuring out that I should maybe put him on the side of Adam and put Null in the middle so Null avoids damage. Because look, he just gets stun locked for freaking 10 seconds. X-Death's Spider-Man Classic. And they have Hela. And Logan didn't even die. He didn't die once. And Spider-Man triggered a Ghost Rider Tier 4 Striker. Do you know how valuable that is? That is basically an almost guaranteed win against that team. And it's amazing. It's the coolest team I've ever seen come up against Surfer. And they've been winning. They've been winning a lot. And look how strong Apocalypse is with that brilliant conquest. Apocalypse is a decent sub-meta choice, especially when he's 35. But here, as you can see, now I'm tweaking my niche team. Put my dummy team. My niche team is strong, but even then, this team is still susceptible to losses against Shala. So I'm trying to figure out which meta is the best to take on, like Shala in that third slot position, if Colossus is not going to work. So there you can try different meta. Here, same thing, have Null direct Adam or have Deadpool direct Adam. But this should be the result when the procs work. Again, I've taken on Carnage, I've taken on Magic, and I've taken on Emma. Spider-Man could potentially interrupt them all just so long as I have Spider-Man on the right side. Now, granted, that team could still lose, but if my niche teams are good, I'm good. I could afford a loss, and it's okay, right? And you could also alternate. Like, I could put Colossus too, and you'll see that X-Deaths is basically almost untouchable. And he could kill Ghost Rider, and he could just be in iframes for majority of the fight, which is incredible. It's better than his newer uniform, which just makes him reflect no matter what support you give him. Colossus, America Chavez, Wasp, Rescue, he'll still get reflected at some point with that new uni, which is a disappointment. And yeah, this team always wins. And then you could see, like, now I'm putting Null in Quicksilver. I put Null in Deadpool because I need Adam to die. Sometimes I'm thinking, okay, Quicksilver needs to be away from Adam and then creep up. But sometimes that doesn't work because Adam's second skill has range. There you'll see this is actually a mistake that I made, even though this team was hidden. I'm supposed to put Ghost Rider to Apocalypse. If I put Ghost Rider to Apocalypse, I could have won that game, but I screwed it up. Here, once again, Spider-Man on the right side, and Logan doesn't even die. The first time where I got that loss, he died. Now he just died. But he's still going to keep himself in iframes, and he's going to do his tier 3 skill, which is one-shotting pretty much most Silver Surfers alone, which is great. And then I have Thanos 2 with Null. I may have Thanos direct Adam 2. I'm going to try different positions, but I'm pretty sure that this corner position with Null is the best way to go, even though it can still be an issue sometimes. And Thanos, he had to carry this time around, but he did it, and it was pretty cool to watch. And these fights are really cool to watch, especially if you know how to handle them and if you know what you're doing. If you know these tactics, you don't have to go through the hundreds of trials and tribulations that I had to go through. And then now these teams more or less are stationary. Like I'm testing maybe one meta here, and I'm testing a meta with Null. But other than that, the teams are consistent, and I'm sticking with them. And you're seeing the wins unfold, and you're seeing very, very interesting little things that you've never seen in TBA before, like somebody activating their striker or somebody activating their tier 3 skill. It's really, really cool to see, and I'm using a lot of characters at my disposal. So it makes me happy. I'm using my roster tactically and effectively. And now I want to showcase that to all of you so you guys don't fail as much as I did. And as you can see, this team can get a couple of losses, but it could also get wins. A lot of them against a lot of different setups, which is what I want. I want diversity, and I want diversity of tactics, so I could pick the same team against multiple tactics and get the same result. That's why I don't mirror match. But in order to not mirror match, you have to figure out the pattern. So I hope you guys enjoy these fights. I hope you guys have learned a lot about my team selections, about the setups you should make, about the setups that other people make, and about the minimum requirements you need. Remember, I got 100% physical attack, or like 95%. I got 115% energy attack, and I have 57% HP with 25% pierce. And my swords are pretty mediocre, and my elite gear is like in the 40 to 80 level. So these are like the minimum requirements you may need to succeed. And I only have 3 brilliant CTPs on 3 different characters. So if you have 3 brilliant CTPs on the right characters, 2 brilliant conquest, and then 1 brilliant greed or brilliant energy, you can compete. So this was part 1 of my PvP guidelines, starting with Team Battle Arena. My next video is going to be discussing timeline battle guidelines and who and what meta can actually stand a chance against the same teams that have been plaguing timeline battle for the past 7 to 8 to 9 months. So here you get all the tactics that you could see at your disposal, and more tactics for timeline battle and otherworld battle will be coming soon. So stay tuned. If you have questions, you can always DM me on Discord. I get a lot of PvP questions, so feel free to ask them. And if you need any niche build alternatives, you can also let me know. Take care. God bless. I will see you guys in the next one.